Welcome into another edition of the Mason Brooks Show, presented by The Rogue. I'm Neil McCready. Mason Brooks, Ole Miss's offensive lineman, here with me again today, as you would expect, since the show is called the Mason Brooks Show. It would make sense that Mason Brooks is here. We're brought to you each and every week by The Rogue, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. They've got all of the best items. You guys know how it is. It's hot out there right now, but the weather is going to start to shift in the next few weeks because that's what happens as the summer fades away and the fall rolls in. Get a little cooler temperatures. You want to make sure that you are ready with all the latest in-style things for the fall season when it gets a little cooler inside the stadiums and such. And so go to therogue.com. They got all the best items from Peter Millar, Martin Dingman, Jack Victor, Halsey, True Grit, Duckhead, I don't know, all the name brands. They've got it. They have specialists that go and select things from work to lifestyle to nightlife. There's the perfect something for everyone at The Rogue. Again, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson, or therogue.com. Mason, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. I can't really complain. It was fun for me. No one wants to care about this. We'll talk about another thing. For me, it was my first game to cover in person since the middle of 2019.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was kind of crazy. Obviously we had started doing a post-game show on MPW Digital about midway through the 2019 season. It's kind of like, I don't know what came across us. It was like a little bolt from the heavens or something, like, hey, you probably need to get ready for something. And then obviously 2020 was just chaos and
calamity.
Yeah. And then last year we kept doing the post-game show, and originally I was going to go back into the press box last year, and then I guess the Omicron thing hit and they came up with all these new rules, and I was like, screw it, let's just do what we did last year again. And this year is the first year it feels like we're kind of back to normal. And so it was kind of interesting for me to be back in a press box doing my job that I had done for decades before. So yeah, but nobody cares about that. As I'm talking about it, I don't know. So
cool. It's cool. It's exciting.
So for you, your first Ole Miss game yesterday. I know you've been on campus for a while and your family is here and all that stuff now, but your first Ole Miss game, your first walk of champions, your first all of that stuff. Just kind of take me through your experiences, if you would.
Yeah, the Walk of Champions is nuts. I guess we'll start there. And Coach Kiven does a really good job of preaching and coaching, like not to allow your emotions to range too hard. So kind of coming up into the Walk of Champions, you hear about it, and I told you last week I was excited about it, and everyone's kind of excited about it. But I wanted to make sure that like I was pretty level-headed going through it, so that I didn't, range up here and then, you got a couple hours kickoff, and you got to range back up. I'm trying to stay consistent. But then you get there, and, I got my cowboy hat on and all my Texas gear that I'm, used to wearing and growing up wearing. And we pull up, and there's just people, like a sea of people everywhere, and everyone's screaming, yelling, the bus is shaking. And I remember just distinctly stepping off the bus and like almost blacking out. I was just like, this is unreal. This is just surreal. And I'm walking through the Grove, and I wanted to take my earbuds out, but I didn't, because there's so many people yelling, and it was just so much going on. And I got my hat, and I felt like I was in the Wild West, just walking through these people. And my mom and dad were both there, which was really cool. My parents both haven't been at a game for me for a while, and so that was really exciting. And my mom said, I'm going to be on the curve. And I was thinking, kind of what I'm used to and what I thought it was kind of a straight shot, maybe a curve, one curve. So I'm walking, and there's people everywhere. I'm high-fiving people. I'm nodding my hat. I'm, going through, and I'm thinking back, one curve, two curves, three. Oh my gosh. Like I missed my mom, and I wasn't even thinking. And I'm like, oh, she's going to be so upset. And so now I'm scanning I'm not even looking at people. I'm just looking for my mom. And finally we get around a curve, and I hear her crying, because that's just how my mom is. And she's amazing. And that was just so awesome. Be able to hug my mom. And then I was like, oh, my dad, I miss my dad. But I turned the corner, and there's my dad. And, so I got to hug both my parents, and really just felt the love, from the fan base. And it's crazy how much Oxford supports us. And just something that they talk about, and something that I wanted to do since I was a kid, is just play at the highest stage and be part of, something great. And, I've been part of great teams, and, it's amazing to continue to be part of great teams, but, that, and then, pregame, walking out and touching the Chucky Mullins head and what that means, and rocking back and forth with these guys that I've been working with for months. And, obviously the game is a game, and I'm not too much into the semantics, but there was a little bit of stopping and smelling the roses there, because I really do feel blessed to be here. And I'm so thankful to be at Ole Miss, and just so happy to be able to experience that, and then to go out and play, obviously. But that was really a cool experience, and just made me feel, so appreciative for what I have. So,
I know you won't believe this, but I had this conversation last year with Chance Campbell when he was doing the show, and he had some of the similar things to say. And as the season went on, he kept saying, there's more of them. There's just more of them. And he would just get floored by how many more people there were. But nothing against Troy, obviously, or Central Arkansas, who you will play this week. But it's going to be different when it's Kentucky, when it's Auburn, when it's Alabama, when it's Mississippi State, when those teams are the ones that are coming into Vaught-Hemingway. I mean, I don't think that's being disrespectful to anyone. It's just the truth. And Chance went. I saw Chance actually yesterday. He was at your game.
Yeah, I saw him.
Yeah, and he would just go, "There's just more of them. There's just so many more of them." He goes, I kept wondering, how can you put more people, and then they just do. So that's probably what your experience is going to be over the course of the year, as you look down from the bus and go, you know what, there's more this time. And yeah, it is one of those really cool traditions. There's so many of those traditions throughout college football. Yesterday I was watching, it was early in the day, right before I left for the stadium. I was one of the people somehow watching Iowa and South Dakota State.
Yes.
And I was asking myself, why am I watching this? And yet they do that deal at the end of the first quarter where everyone in the stadium turns and waves at the kids.
Yeah.
And that is so powerful. It was just, I'm like, this is what makes this sport so special. It's the craziness and the uniqueness and the traditions, and that's definitely one of the cool ones.
Yeah, nothing like it. I came in the locker room kind of like, and I remember we were all sitting in the living room last night, and I said, that was so cool, and the guys in here were kind of like, yeah, this is all right, and I was like, it was all right, and they're like, just wait till we get to SEC play. And so that's obviously not why I'm here, but definitely funny that you said that and everyone said that. So just a cool aspect, just part of being here, and another cool aspect of being able to play this level and being gifted. And so just super, super awe-inspiring, but super thankful. So
let's talk about the game a little bit. I know you didn't play a ton. You got some snaps at right guard. You guys have an offensive line. I'm not going to ask you details because that's kind of the agreement. I don't think it's fair to you for me to pin you down on stuff that's happening inside. But Lane talked about there was an injury at left tackle. He didn't go into the details, so I won't ask about it. But you having to stay ready at all times, having to kind of be ready to go, and at this point, whether to play multiple positions, maybe it's on the outside, maybe it's on the inside. Take me through that process for you as a game's going along, and you're watching a game, and yet you're having to think about, hey, my name could get called any minute now.
Yeah, it's a totally different challenge. One that I haven't faced. And I thought when I was coming here, like, oh, the challenge here is going to be, playing with the big dogs and all this. But, as this month's kind of gone on, and then after the first game, I'm realizing, like, I have the confidence, and I think I have the ability to play with anybody. And that's who I've always been as a player. But the real challenge this season is going to be, okay, am I ready to go in at right guard? Am I ready to go in at left guard? Am I ready to play on the outside? And when my number's called, am I going to perform? And, we were talking on the sideline just because we were playing musical chairs there, a lot in the second quarter with guys coming in, guys coming out. One thing that I think we've done a really good job of, and that's exciting about our O-line, is that we can do that and that there isn't a drop-off. I mean, you got Mike Pettis coming in and play right tackle, and he's never played in a game before, and there's no drop-off there. And, Jaden's out there as a freshman and, battling different stuff, and there's not a drop-off there. You moving Germ to left, I'm playing right guard. There's some musical chairs in the middle that can happen too. It's a good it's a good sign, when you have guys that can do that. So it is a different challenge. Not one that I think I was fully expecting, obviously, like we talked about going into the season, but one that I'm attacking head on, and I'm happy to be a part of. And I think it's going to make me a better player. And so whether I go in at guard or tackle or freaking tight end, I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to try to kick the man across from me's tail, and that's just kind of the mentality I keep. And so it's different, but it's exciting. And like I said, it's an honor to be here. It's an honor to play here. And so that's how I'm looking at it.
I have to think for Jaden and for Micah, having a guy like you who's played a lot of college football, who's an older guy, who obviously has a great head on his shoulders, who's obviously a really good person. I would think you are a resource for those guys because they're young and this is their first college experience. And I don't care how good you are, when you get out there that first time, those first few times, you're swimming a little, the heart beats up, you're thinking a lot. The game probably feels super fast at times, even against a Troy or whatever. And I would think you are quite a resource for them in terms of just someone to bounce things off of, to be for you to be kind of a mentor. Is that kind of a role that you're catching yourself playing?
Yeah, I try to be. I think that me and Micah have more simpatico personality styles. Jaden's a little bit more compartmentalized. So with Jaden, I just try to be an encourager, but understand that Jaden's very quiet and might not always reciprocate, but he's always thinking. And so for that, I'm more of, just speaking to him, talking to him about what he's seeing. We're on the sidelines probably half that game, chopping up, what are you seeing? What rush are you getting here? And he's so bright. He's so bright. He knows, exactly what's going on. And I forget I'm sitting next to a kid who hasn't played, a freaking, 18-year-old who's out here, working these guys. And then Micah's, more of an emotional style player, which is really, when I was younger in my career, that's how I started out. A lot of like raw emotion, and I've kind of learned to harness that in. And so, with Micah, it's just kind of keeping him on the horse and keeping him level headed. And he did a great job, and he's so excited to go in, and being able to play next to him, especially on that first drive that he was in, I think was good, for both of us. But anytime that I could pour into younger guys, even the younger guys in that, Preston Cushman and Cam East, I do feel like when I was a young player, I leaned really hard on the seniors that I was around. And so to try to be able to do that for the guys here, like you said, I think that's a good resource for these cats. And so I try to, input and give some knowledge and some pointers where I can.
It's a lesson I'll never forget. This is a little journalism lesson, but it's about offensive line play. So when you're gonna get it as we go. I was covering Auburn as early in my career, like the late '90s. You probably were still like in diapers or something. And Hugh Nall, the former Georgia offensive lineman, was the offensive line coach at Auburn. He had played on that 1980 national title team with Herschel Walker in the backfield at Georgia. And he's like, "All right, I'm gonna give you a quiz." And I was like, okay. And he goes, "You have two choices as a football coach. You can have 5 average offensive linemen and an elite running back, or you can have an average running back and 5 elite offensive linemen." So I'm sitting there going, all right, let me think. This is an offensive lineman, one of these hard-nosed guys. He's probably what he's getting at is that offensive linemen are underappreciated. So I said, 5 elite offensive linemen. And I was waiting for him to go, hell yeah. And he goes, nope. You want the elite running back. An elite running back can make average offensive linemen look elite, and an average running back can make elite offensive linemen look average.
Yeah, 100%.
You guys have a couple of guys at least who at least yesterday looked elite. Zach Evans obviously is special, and this kid Judkins, goodness gracious now.
Did I say it? Did I say it or did I say it? Hey, Ulysses Bennett, man, we're deep.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Ulysses Bennett or Kentrell Bullock or whatever, but yesterday the two guys that got the rock the most, they looked special. I mean, yeah. Zach Evans, had you guys stuck to the ground game and not said, "Hey, we got to experiment a little bit with what we're doing. We got to break in these quarterbacks. We got to figure some stuff out." Those guys could have gone for 200 a pair. I mean, they were they were on. What is it like to be on that offensive line, in that offensive line unit, knowing that those are the cats that are behind you that can make you look really good if you'll just kind of do your job?
It's great. It's great too because Zach is very, very much an uncontent player, which kind of is like an oxymoron. I don't know what that is, but he's never satisfied with his work. And I love that about Zach. Like he just wants to do more, and he's very vocal about it. And so you always know that his standard for himself is higher than he can ever achieve. And so you hope that he shows up with that mentality every day. And then Quinshon is just a kid. I mean, he's really like I remember the spring they said that the O-line coach said something about like, you know, he ran somebody over and coach was like, this kid's supposed to be at prom next week and he's out here running over grown men. And it's really true. He's so quiet and he just smiles all the time. He's got braces and he's just happy to be out there. But he wants to run through people, and he wants to score, and he's a self-esteem player. This week, we had a busted protection or something, and he ran up there and mowed somebody down. I mean, he's just beyond the running. Those guys they really want to just help anywhere they can, and they want to be great. And when you have a selfless group of running backs like that also want to pass protect, they want to, work with the offensive line, and they treat us with respect. It makes our job so much easier. Like you said, you can have X amount of average offensive linemen, and if you have an elite running back or elite running backs that can hit the holes and read stuff like we do, it makes our job easy. So can't say enough good stuff about the running back room and what Coach Blackwell is doing with those guys.
Yeah, Zach Evans is so funny. He came in there yesterday. He was getting all the quarterback questions because we have to ask quarterback questions when you're starting one quarterback and then starting another quarterback. People are like, I don't know why y'all keep asking quarterback questions. Like, are you serious? Stop. You would, if you were in our shoes, you'd have to ask. To stop. But Zach was so funny because he was like, we don't even need a quarterback. We don't.
That's how he thinks.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I was like, he really believes this. This is not him.
He does. He just loves like chasing greatness, man. It's cool. It's really cool to be around.
Yeah,
so.
he's a beast. And boy, Judkins. I mean, I wrote this yesterday. Judkins, it says, star of the future. I'm like, I don't know, the future's like next week. I mean,
future comes fast in the SEC, man.
He's God gifted him, man. He's got thunderbolts for legs, and his ability to shift and stuff and hit a hole, and then he's got that toughness that like you said, he runs with an anger that I just don't think you can coach. That's natural.
We said first off, he's so humble too. I mean, he's just the sweetest kid, and I said it's ironic because he's the sweetest kid and he runs like possessed, like he's trying to. But I said, we were talking about it last night in here, and man, Quinshon had a really good game. He tries to like destroy people, and we said, Quinshon's going to be, a fantastic player as long as he can freaking stay okay, man. He's trying to just kill people out there. So, but that's a good quality to have in a running back. So super exciting, really exciting. I mean, like you said, like everyone saw, a lot to love there with Quinshon.
Offensively, is it when you get a lead like that going in, it's pretty obvious. You guys are human beings. You can look out there and see that you're winning the game. You're not losing the game. Is it hard to keep intensity up and to keep the foot on the gas and all that? I mean, that's kind of a learned quality over the course of a season, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Frankly, I was disappointed in the second half. I thought we came out kind of complacent and flat, and there's a lot of moving pieces, and 1-0 is the end of the goal, but I do think in my career and kind of as many games I played, I know I haven't played a whole lot of SEC games, but I played a whole lot of Troy style games, and that's kind of my bread and butter or whatever. But I think it is easy to kind of rest on your laurels, and a lot of teams do it and they preach against that, but when you have a lead and you're kind of, used to this style of play, or we got this in the bag, I think sometimes fundamentals and technical stuff and the little things, the details that we preach so hard about kind of get away from you. And so I think that this week discipline is going to be harped very hard, especially with respecting our next opponent and looking down the road, into this week. I really hope that we come out this week, disciplined, and put together a complete game, because while there was tons of good stuff, there's a lot to work on. I think there was a lot left out there that we could have accomplished, and I'm not taking away from what we did. I'm just saying, the standard here and the standard that Lane holds is greatness and excellence, and that's what I want to achieve, and that's what the guys want to achieve. And so it's frustrating when I feel like we underperform. That being said, I thought the defense stuck it, and I think the defense surprised a lot of people, and that was something that I knew. But I thought it was awesome to see those guys kind of get rolling and start to kind of build a head of steam. JJ Pegues, we talked about him last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes out there and just decapitates their quarterback. J.I., these guys, these transfers, Troy, Kyrie Coleman.
Yeah.
All these guys we brought in, and then Battles and these guys that are experienced have been here, all kind of coming together. They really played very collectively well, and I thought it was good to see those guys mesh. And so I was really happy with the defense, and I love seeing the defense make plays and throw the fin up, and so that was cool. So
when you get back to the house on a Saturday night after a game like that, do you watch a lot of other football, or is it kind of get away from the game, or did y'all turn on Notre Dame, Ohio State, or Florida, Utah, or all that, or did you just kind of detox?
We had it running, but everyone's just kind of like sprawled out, tired and elevating their arms or their legs or something. And so I was trying to find the freaking Hawaii WKU game, because I got to support my guys, my roommate, and it's it's supposed to be on this or that, and I'm trying to stream it illegally or whatever, and I can't find it. And so I just looked at the game cast of that. But no, we turned on the Notre Dame game, and we had a couple different games going, and we were playing our game on the back TV and just kind of watching it and getting a first look at it. And I think a lot of the guys in here like to start to analyze their film as soon as the game's over, so they can start to kind of correct mistakes. And so it's a little football, but also I'm a big detox guy. I like a little time off to just relax. So
I got pissed off at the Southern Miss Liberty game. I had the Southern Miss money line, and Southern Miss lost in triple overtime. I'm just going to tell you, I did not prepare you for this. I am vehemently opposed to the rule that in the third overtime it just becomes a 2-point conversion play. I hate that. I despise that. That sucks.
You despise that today, or do you despise that when the money line's against you, or do you despise that always?
I think I despise it in general.
Super despise it now.
I really despised it last night. But it just doesn't. You guys go through. I was literally thinking about this. I wasn't just thinking about my money here. I was thinking about. You go through fall camp and you go through all this stuff, and then you play a game that goes forever. And then you play an overtime, and you play a second overtime, and it comes down to 1 2-point conversion play. That's it. That just doesn't feel.
That was like the coin flip in the league a couple of years ago with the Bills or whatever.
Yeah, last year with the Bills and the Chiefs. Yeah,
yeah. Like this all comes down to what chance the flip of a coin like is determining a whole game. Is that how we're doing this? It
just doesn't feel right.
Yeah,
doesn't feel right. Hey, well, listen, appreciate the time today. We're brought to you each and every week, as I said, by the Rogue, 4450 I-55 North in Jackson. Go there, get all the latest styles, all the latest gears. We tell you they always have stuff that's made just for you as the fall rolls around and we get closer and closer to a little cooler weather. You want to start thinking about having those styles. I know it's hard to think about when it's 92 degrees outside, but it won't be 92 forever. You want to be ready for that. So that's therogue.com. We're also brought to you by Liston and Dees. It's a full-service law firm located in Ridgeland, Mississippi. They focus on complex civil litigation. Liston and Dees' clients include individuals, businesses, and state governments throughout the United States. So for Mason Brooks, I'm Neil McCready. That does it for this edition. We'll be back next week. Recap Central Arkansas, look ahead to the first road trip of the season as Ole Miss heads to Atlanta to play Georgia Tech a little later in the month. So until then, have a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week, and talk to you soon.